I was like, okay, so today was weird because I had to be a mom. Obviously, I got stuck. This is kind of what's been going on. Seriousness that it deserves. There's lots of victims here. First of all, when I have been doing my research here, I want other people to make sure, like, to tell me, like, did this actually happen in a lawsuit? So there was a lot of rumblings, and a lot of the people that I was speaking to, they were just really traumatized and they didn't want to speak. I'm really sorry that this happened to you. You did not deserve any of this, and you're going to continue to help other people by sharing your experiences. Their biggest fear is retaliation. They're afraid of their businesses being targeted. They have fears for their own safety. It's not my place to push them and say, you need to come out. You know, it's not my job to say, you need to go on the record. My job is to, build trust with them and try to be as delicate as possible with their stories. So I have been holding back on kind of sharing a lot of the details. I recognize that some of these stories are not just mine. I was not victimized by this group. There's still these weird people online that seem to believe that this isn't a cult. We should just let these people live their lives. I have family members of people who are the leaders now. The real only bad guy here is Robert Shin. So even though Daniel looks like a bad guy now, a family friend made him feel like his parents were evil and turned him against his family. And Shirley came into this, and this is her family. Like, that's the only thing that she knows. And he has been, like, really preying on young people. There's quite a few people that have struggled significantly with mental health issues or have autism that have been horribly hurt throughout this process. This is just what it was. Like, there was never going to be justice. There was never going to be anyone to expose what happened. There was never going to be a space for them to share their stories. So, and then it's all out publicly now. Like, wait a minute. As soon as someone goes public, they become a target of this group, and then they also have to navigate that negativity that they've spent such a long time getting away from. Their loved one has cut them off, blocked them, will not speak to them, will not interact with them, will not return their calls, will not return their emails. This is not just Miranda ignoring her family.
And I'd be like, why are you so obsessed with me?
Daniel, Shirley not contacting her family. It's Hannah not talking to her sister. Chrissy, there's Priscilla, there's all these different people that have cut off family. And the one common denominator is Robert Shin. He has convinced them that the outside world is satanic and they can trust no one.
Trust no one.
And that their family members are
Satan
and evil. With that being said, thank you to all of you that are trusting me with your stories. I'm going to share this because I need to actually get this out here. So this is what happens. I had to, like, tease through because they believe lied to him. But this is what happened. Robert was in his mid to late 40s, and these women were like 20, 19, 21, girls that were barely adults that knew next to nothing about the world and were relying on him and looking to him as like a father and like a spiritual leader. He had about 4 or 5 women that he was sort of grooming, and then the girls were seen going into a locked room with him where he would say that he was getting massages from them. And he would claim that only the best hands could touch him because only certain hands with the best massage skills could touch the holy man. And touching the holy man was, a blessing. Inappropriate contact between Robert and these women. He was promising that he was going to marry these women, that they would be the next woman of God as long as they would do things for him. So Catherine apparently knew this was going on, but she was sort of just letting it slide. With Miranda, I was told that Chloe is her mentor right now, and she might be, and Chloe's mentor is Hannah. So she's getting sort of like indirectly mentored through Hannah. That makes sense. And Hannah is the woman of God. So people were like, you made a video about the coffee and that's a reach. And I'm like, really? No, it's not, because this is what Hannah drinks, and they are told to admire and to be like their worship, their man and woman of God. So, anyways, he has these women going behind closed doors. He's promising that he's going to marry them as long as he gets sexual favors from them. They were all, again, very young and sort of brainwashed to believe that he's like the holy man. After Catherine gets in a fight and Robert refuses to do whatever she wants, she confronts the girls and they all go together to the church. These women were giving him sexual favors behind closed doors, and it was basically like an abuse of power and like luring them in with like knowing that he's already married. He told the church he has a high desire for sex, and it's always something that he's wanted. He like has a high sex drive, and so he just wants to have sex all the time, and he loves beautiful women. And it's okay though, because he is a fallen man and he's not perfect, right? They're horrified and outraged, and once he confessed to this, left the church. Those that stayed kind of just believed that it was just the young girls throwing themselves at him, and that was kind of like it. He then Shirley stayed with him for a period of time, and then she eventually was removed by Robert, and Robert just didn't want her anymore. So he replaced her very abruptly with Hannah. Hannah was loyal to him and decided to stay with him. By the way, her sister was one of the victims. So her sister was one of the women that was the massages, and she had been previously victimized by Robert through that. Her sister left, but Hannah stayed. And that happened with multiples. There was another group of sisters, and one of the sisters was a victim, and two of the sisters stayed. So, and then those people went on to become victims as well. He has had this sort of pattern of using his position of power to justify these inappropriate relationships, and he has a specific type that he likes. All of these members have horrible trauma from this, are deeply affected by this. There's so much more to what I'm saying. I'm very high level. I'm sure Robert will deny this, and he has a right to deny this. I'm sure Robert will say that that's not what happened. I was just maybe inappropriate or whatever it is. End of the day, if you're a pastor, you should not be sleeping with your parishioners, and you shouldn't be abusing your power to get people to sleep with you or to give you sexual favors. So why this matters now is because the former members don't feel like he has stopped. He's probably on the same trajectory. And there's deep concerns that Miranda is targeted. He has a specific look. He likes them to have their hair short. She's getting a lot more attention than the other women. And she's also being mentored through Hannah. So there is deep concern. I'm not sharing things that are not, no charges were filed. Nobody sued him for this. He was never arrested for this. So from a criminal standpoint, he did not break the law. So Robert now has a new influx of people, and they're very naive, and he's cut many of them off. Horrible, because you're watching this play out on social media and you're seeing videos of B-Dash and Miranda trying to act like everything is normal when we know it's not. I mean, Concrete has been in my comments multiple times yelling at me, saying that I'm lying. Their emails were hacked, their phones were hacked, they didn't have access to their phones. When they wanted to leave, they were put in isolation. I mean, we're not making this up. We want the authorities to do something about this. We want the IRS to step in. We would love the FBI to investigate. We would love the LAPD to, well, you're not the victim, so you can't report the crime. So that's where we are. Allegedly, opinions, facts, whatever. I'm also not paying up a lot of attention to me being the bad guy here. If this wasn't a real story, literally every production company in the world has contacted me, I swear. Like, they all want this out there. And if you're not witnessing the crime and you're not seeing the physical abuse, you can't like report it. See, like, it just needs one or two people to speak up to turn this into a Harvey Weinstein situation. Yeah, apparently Robert likes blondes. So they limit their diets, and then they also aren't allowed to sleep a lot. So they're not sleeping a lot, so they're sleep deprived, and then they're not eating enough, which is another easy way to manipulate people. When you're not sleeping enough, you're susceptible to being manipulated just because you're tired and your brain isn't functioning at like the levels. And then if you're hungry on top of that, your brain and your body doesn't have the energy. So critical thinking is hard. If you want to make this about this being an LA thing, you're missing the whole point. And I don't know what to say. The tactics that they're using are actually very comparable to the way that the North Korean government controls their people. Someone in this group has family from North Korea. I'm not sure who, but yeah, like how North Korea treats people. They delete anything, so if you report something, they delete it. Like, I share a video about an innocuous video that Isaiah made 7 years ago, and they delete it. Like, I find a photograph from 7 years ago of Shirley, and she deletes it. They delete everything. Like, I've never seen a group do this before, at all. Like, literally at all. Like, the IBLP doesn't delete shit. Like, it's all out there, which is like what I'm used to. I'm used to the IBLP having all their shit out there, right? They don't delete stuff. And this is just like everything is deleted. Yeah, so I was listening to the SoundCloud of their former worship, and they literally deleted it within minutes of me listening. I was listening for half an hour. It was gone. Deleted in the middle of me listening. Tonight, my weird angles. You know. I feel like if you're not doing anything wrong and you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to hide, so you don't need to delete. I mean, I can understand like not wanting some stuff out there, but it's like anything that's found gets deleted. I think the privating might have had to do with the Clippers too. The fundraisers. So Slavic did a weird fundraiser for Ukraine, and he said that his dad is a mayor and all the money was going to go through Ukraine, and he set it up on this website that is not as legitimate as GoFundMe. And former members told me to beware. They almost feel like Robert's going to take some of that money. That's their opinion. I don't think you're going to see them on Ellen anymore. Retaliation. Well, my name is getting smeared and there's people pretending like I'm being obsessed and I'm lying, further pushed into the cult. So between Isaiah and B-Dash and Miranda, and they're deleting just dumb things. Like, I don't know why. I'm gonna wait until some of you join.
Are you dumb, stupid, or dumb?